Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching through YouTube, to the latest episode of the Abby Khan Vlogcast. Do you know if vlogcast is a thing? Like, I made the word up and I don't know it's a thing because we're vlogging and podcasting. So
I was very confident that that was a word.
No, I don't know if it is or not. I've just called these vlogcasts.
You said it like it was a word.
Yeah, cool, right?
My brain didn't dispute it. So, yeah.
You say something with enough conviction, people will believe you.
Yeah, vlogcast.
Yeah, the bicep muscularis, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. So guys and girls, welcome to the show. We have got my good friend John here.
Hello.
Who's waving at you if you are listening. If you are watching on YouTube, if you're listening on podcast, he waved at you. Guys, we've just done what I call like an intense BJJ session. My first one ever. And if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go back and check it out on YouTube. But yeah, I got my ass handed to me, didn't I? I did not do well.
I think you did well.
Yeah, you've been humble and modest. But so if you've not seen it yet, John basically went through the sort of most dominant positions that you can get in as an attacker, I guess, and the positions you don't want to get into if you're in defense. And the first thing, I got into the worst possible position, and he popped my elbow too, and we still don't know what's wrong with it. But
it's good.
Yeah, it wasn't a great start. But we're gonna have some fun here in today's conversation. But John, for the people that don't know who you are and don't follow your very, very cool social media page, can you just let people know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is John McAleer. I'm a yoga instructor and strength and flexibility trainer at Mingara, the same gym where Abby works. And then I'm also recreationally a Jiu Jitsu competitor. So I'm a purple belt under Professor Danilo Coltro from Gracie Bar Central Coast, here on the Central Coast where we live. I have been training Jiu Jitsu for 5 and a bit years and competing for most of that time. And that's pretty much everything that I do is just yoga, try to help people do the splits and strangle people. Yeah, that's about
what a life. What a life. So we're in this cool little kit out gym, which is real fun. How many hours do you reckon you spend in here a week?
Just on mats in general, I would spend, I do 4 jiu-jitsu sessions, which go for probably 90 minutes to 2 hours each, and then 1 judo session that goes for about an hour to 90 minutes. So what's that? 2, 4, 6, maybe 8 to 10 hours a week of jiu-jitsu. And then in here, especially during quarantine, we were here just like at least 3 times a week minimum. We'd all just kind of scurry in here. And then like a group of us would train and then we'd go back. So it was huge in quarantine. And then now that like we're kind of back to semi-normal life, we probably spend more time at the big gym just because we have more training partners than when it's just a few of us training here. So you get a bit better variety of training, but we're still training here at least once a week. And I train like lifting weights in here like 2-3 times a week as well. So this is like, spend a fair bit of time in here. It's a cool spot.
It's a very cool spot.
Very lucky.
What's the most exciting part of Jiu-Jitsu for you?
It's the problem solving. Like I really enjoy there's a chunk of my brain that just likes, just slowly deconstructing things and then like putting it back together so that now it works. So I really enjoy that there's what just happened with you, that happened to me on my first day too.
God for that.
there was a, and it was worse too because I went in and there was a guy there. He had terrible posture. His skin was all white. His hair was a mat. He looked like he'd just been video gaming like all night long. And I was like expecting some big Vitor Belfort looking giant Brazilian who was gonna teach me to become an assassin. You know what I mean? So I walk in and I'm like, said to this guy, oh, hey, what's up? Like I'm here for first class. Like he was like, cool, just go, here's a uniform for you to borrow. Go over there, get changed and we'll go. And I was like, cool. So then I get changed and I'm waiting for this dude to come out, and then that guy just walks out the back, gets changed, comes back, puts a brown belt on. So that's someone who's been training for probably another couple years than how long I've been training. And starts teaching the class. And in my head, like, I'm not like super judgy, but I'm just a bit like, oh, I reckon I could do something to this guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of skinny and he obviously doesn't eat that well. And I don't know, like, and then you got hold of me and I was like, oh wow. I can't do anything. And he was giggling whilst he was doing it. He just thought it was funny. Like, and he didn't hurt me and it was so gentle, but it was so like, because he wasn't powerful, right? Like, and I think that's the most impressive way that you can get someone to and I almost wish I had one of my friends or training partners. I got one guy that we train with who's like 70 kilos and just like the scariest thing that you could ever come across. Like he just is a murderer. And if you look at him, he's just a nice, like young 22, 23-year-old, 70 kilo kid. Like, you know, you look at him and you're like now obviously because he's been competing a lot more, he's filled out and he's been bigger and all that kind of stuff, but especially when he was younger, he just looked like this little kid. And they'd say to a big fella like you, like, oh, just go hang with him, like go train with that little dude over there. And that little dude would just he's infinitely better than me. Like, would just, I don't know, now that you felt it, you can explain it, but you're at this point where you think like all of my, I don't know, the man, the testosterone in you thinks like, I'll be all right. like he'll probably win, but I'll get some in, you know, and then you get none in. You're just like, oh wow, this is, so for me, the first time someone did that to me, I was like, well, it wasn't so much that can't ever happen again, but it was, I need to understand how he did that. Like, I need to know, I didn't realize that another human being could do that to me with me not wanting them to. Do you know what I mean? Like I understood that if I gave you my arm, you could do stuff, or if I stood in front of you, you could hit me, or you could hurt me, or could whatever, but I didn't understand that with me, a man who is athletic and strong and fit and healthy, trying to the absolute best of my ability, because you know you grow up and you watch the TV and the guy takes all these licks and then he gets really mad and then he comes back and then he's you know, or you think, oh, if you said something about my mum or my sister, but then I'd just it's like, no. Doesn't matter. That particular guy can say and do anything that he wants, and there's nothing that you can do, like not a single thing that you can do about it, unless he maybe trips over on his way to connect with you. Like, there's nothing you can do. So yeah, for me, when that person first just handled me, dismantled me, did whatever he wanted, and I think how gently and how fun it was for him. It wasn't even like he was like there was teeth and it was a huge bloody battle. It was just him going like rolling around.
It's like a clown beating you up.
He was just having a silly time. And he just tanned me up. And then he said, oh, thanks for coming. You know, if you want to come back and do some classes, that'd be cool. If not, that's cool too. See ya. And that was it. And I was like, and then I've been training like 3 to 5 times a week since that day. Like, I haven't had any time, like that was almost 5.5 years ago. And I haven't had time off really since. It's just been, if I go on holidays, first thing I Google is like Thailand BJJ, Bali BJJ, where's the BJJ? Like, I gotta have somewhere nearby and I'm gonna train, and then I do the thing on the plane there. I'm watching instructional videos on how to do stuff, and I'm emailing like, hey, me and my girl are gonna come through. Can we train? Can we get in with you guys? Like, it's just like, and I still haven't solved that puzzle, because there's still people who can do things to me that I don't want them to do to me. And until I figured that out, I don't think it ends, and I don't know if it's possible for that to end. So like, we have a joke in Jiu-Jitsu, like, unless you're world champion, you suck at Jiu-Jitsu. That's like, did you win worlds? No, you suck. Someone's like, oh, I'm pretty good. Like, no, you're not. Because there's a guy who can choke you, so you're not. So I don't know if it ever ends, but yeah, for me, anyway, that's until I solve that puzzle of like, why can that person who I don't want to be able to do something to me, then I'm obsessed until then.
That's really cool, and just after experiencing it, I can see where that comes from, because when we were just going through just this, again, very gently flowing, you weren't aggressive like at all with it, but you were just so I felt like I was being attacked by a spider monkey or something. Like, it would just go, and
they're just everywhere.
Like, oh, what the hell? How the fuck did you get me in that? And then I was like trying, like, being a relatively strong guy. Like, I just couldn't get out of it. I was just like, I'm trying with all my might and every ounce of my fiber, and I just could not bend my elbow. And I'm just like, he's got it here. I was like, nah, I can get this. And I was like, trying to do the heaviest bicep curl in the world. I was like, I can't fucking move him. And then you just get frustrated, and obviously you utilize more energy during that use more oxygen, get tireder faster, and then I'm like, I'm proper fucked here.
Yeah. It works. And that's not me.
Yeah.
That's like jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu works. And that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's you'd be silly to think that like that's because you, the person, has some kind of special attribute that's making that work. Like I was literally someone who had someone have their way with me, and then I kept doing a thing, and then I could have my way with someone else. That says nothing about me. That's just like this thing that these dudes in Brazil and Japan and then a few other people in a few other spots around the world just kind of figured out that like, oh, if you guys tumble around like this for a little bit, you can do some stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's then here we are. So like it's really cool. I'm surprised that everyone isn't doing it.
Yeah.
You should be doing it.
It's fair. I think like over the last sort of like even 5 years, like it's become
exploded.
So
huge,
so popular. There's I was in the acting and film world. There's so many more actors and directors now that I'm reading about that have been doing it for like Guy Ritchie's been doing it for years, and I'm like, I think he's meant to be quite good at it too.
I'm pretty sure he's a black belt.
Yeah,
like which is for real. Like they won't. And jiu-jitsu is pretty like. You can maybe get a blue belt because you're like kind of famous.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Some places. You used to stick around long enough. You get the first belt.
Yeah.
They give you a belt. Looks good for them. It's whatever. It's cool. They won't give you a black belt.
No,
like they're not just going to give you a black belt. You know what I mean? So, and to get to that point, like I would assume he'd tan me out. You know what I mean? Like that's what would be expected. That's the expected outcome of that interaction.
There's a and this is why I kind of want to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The story about Charlie Hunnam when he got King Arthur. Do you know that story about the role?
No, I don't.
So he wasn't even in contention for the role. Guy Ritchie was directing it. I think he wrote it as well. He wrote part of it, and he had all these other actors in for the role. And Charlie Hunnam heard about King Arthur, grew up, and it's a British thing. He knew the story really well, and he called like Gary. She was just like, "Hey, like I've heard King Arthur's coming." He says, "I need to play this role." And he's like, "No, like you're not the right build for it. You're not the right look for what I'm going for." Because he just finished Sons, and I think he might have been either too big or too skinny. There was either end of the spectrum. And Charlie Hunnam basically just went, "Look, let me come and talk to you." So Guy Ritchie's like, "All right, good, come and talk to me." So he like flew wherever he flew to Guy Ritchie's house and started having this conversation to him about it. And even after the conversation, he was like, "You're not the right thing. You're not the right character for the role." And Charlie Hunnam went, "Anybody who's playing this role, you bring them in this room and I will fight them." He goes, "I will fight any one of those fucking people." And Guy Ritchie, and he was deadly serious. Like he was willing to fight anybody I put in front of him for this role. And if you look at Charlie Hunnam's story, like his father's a well-known bare knuckle boxer as well. I think they're from Newcastle in England. But that's what he sort of said. And he goes, after that, he goes, "I need to offer him this part." And I was like, no one else is going to come with that passion. So what I'd love to do is Guy Ritchie one day, if you're listening, Guy Ritchie, is just fight him on the mat.
Just gonna fight Guy Ritchie. Let's take it in there. He does make the sickest movies.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool story. So what I'm interested in is people getting into jiu-jitsu and like I probably just did there. What's like the biggest mistake you see people make as they're just getting into it? Probably because it's super popular now as well.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do jiu-jitsu. This is a cool thing. What's the biggest mistakes?
I was like, your ego is not your amigo. You know what I mean? That's like, it's like, that's the hardest thing because I see some people come in, two things happen, right? Like there's a moment where someone who's less physically impressive than you does something to you that you didn't want to happen. Two things happen. People either go, I have to learn that. I have to know what that person knows and need to understand. Not like in a violent, like I need to get that guy back or whatever, just like, that's amazing. Or people get very, very upset. They don't like it. They think it's some kind of trick. It's some kind of, that'd never work. They find all these reasons why that wouldn't, it wouldn't go, it wouldn't whatever, and then they never come back. And they just disappear and they never come back. They can't take we see it a lot, especially my lady's been training for maybe 4 years, and she's quite strong, and she's like a tall girl, so she's like 70 kilos, so you can get a smaller guy will come in, similar size to her, she's gonna eat that dude, it'll be bad, and they, especially, there's a weird thing, like dudes, especially middle-aged dudes, they don't like tapping to girls. They do all sorts of just super spazzy shit to not. You'll see dudes just bench press and throw a girl away because rather than letting a girl like they don't want to tap. I don't know what it is. I don't really understand why they. I don't know. They're just like, I'm not tapping to a girl. That's like a big thing that happens, and it's even to a point where you'll see girls who will they'll get into a position where they could submit the guy and they won't. Because they'll be like, well, I know if I submit him, the next time we roll, it's going to be like to the death. Yeah. And I can't be bothered with that. So there you go, mate. Like carry on, do what you want to do, you know? Yeah. So I think, the biggest thing is like, expect that you're going to suck and then be okay with it when you do suck. Like that's the best thing that you could do. And don't like, do kind of what you just did. Like, wow, that was crazy that just happened. Not, oh, my foot got stuck in the thing and then I had to, and then I could. You see everything. Like, I had a late night last night and then it did. No, it didn't, bro. It didn't. None of that shit is for real. Like, it's just, you don't know this thing that this person knows. And there's no other, for some reason, like we were talking about before, like with fighting, people think that when it comes to fighting, your athleticism or your like, we always joke like my mentality, bro. Like that's gonna click in, and then all the strength of your ancestors will and then you'll know what to do, but you won't.
Yeah, 100%.
You just won't. Like you won't, and it doesn't apply to cooking. You can't get really, really mad and put tons of adrenaline and then make an amazing meal when you don't know how to cook, and you couldn't get really, really angry and then just go on Dancing with the Stars and do it incredible, and you couldn't like just get really mad and then speak some unknown little spoken dialect from, you know, far out Africa or where, like
speak like Navi and Avatar. That's what you can do.
Nope. Like it's just like fighting in any form of combat is just the same. Like it's just the skill that you learn, and once you understand that skill, if you're better at that skill than someone who doesn't understand that skill, you have a massive, massive, massive advantage. Like if you and me went to start like squatting right now and just throwing plates on, it's going to look just as bad as what that looked like, you know? So I think that if you can go in and just like leave all of that, like just go enjoy the suck, like enjoy being bad at something. That's good. Like that's good. It's good for humans to be bad at something, and it's good for you to see the progression slowly. And you know, you work through your belts, and it'll be exciting, and you'll be like, cool, like because belts in jiu-jitsu signify time, right? Like each belt has a minimum time. They're roughly about 2 years each that you'll be on a belt, and then you slowly, and that's how you can look at this thing, and you look at how worn it's getting, and all the holes in it, and how long you've been wearing this thing, and you're like, cool, like this is. Now I've been doing this for 2 years, now 4 years, now 6 years, now 8 years. Where'd that go? That's crazy, you know. Like, and then just keep like kind of enjoying the process of it. And for me, like how long the journey was to a black belt means that you're competent. That's it. Doesn't mean you're amazing. Like it just means that like you pretty much know most of the stuff. You've been doing this for about 8 to 10 years. There you go. It's probably the same as like getting a degree from university. Doesn't mean you're amazing at it. It just 100%. Means, here you go, you're now competent to go out and say that you know this thing. You can say, I kind of understand jiu-jitsu now. After 8 to 10 years. Like that's the journey that you're on, you know? And I think that's cool. Like the fact that it was so long. I guess I liked endurance sports. So like I was into like long distance triathlon, marathon running, long distance cycling, like all that kind of thing was really exciting to me. So like the more, when they said, it'll take about 8 to 10 years for you to be kind of good at this, it was like, whoa, that's cool. That's really cool. I want to do that. So for me, that was exciting. So I think if you can, and most people who try jiu-jitsu try it again. It's not everyone that comes in who's like, I'm never going to do this thing. Like you'll do that again.
I was I could roll around like that and get the crap beat out of me for hours.
It's fun. And then the first time you learn something, you'll be like, I did a thing. That'd be like, for me, it's like coach wanted to do the thing to me that he always does to me, and he couldn't do it to me. That's like that's the victory. You know what I mean? Like it's the first time you do something to coach, I'm the man. But then also you have a lot of days, like we joke about like crying in the shower is like a consistent joke in our gym, is like you see someone like tap to something stupid that shouldn't have worked and then it worked, like, that's gonna sting in the shower. When you get home later and you're just standing there going, fuck, how the fuck did that happen? It's so bad. it's just, you just stand like, or your competition, you get submitted by something silly and in front of the whole team, and then you just, I just gotta go home. I just really want to go home. I'm just gonna cry in the shower for a little bit, and then it'll be sweet. And then I'll see you at training on Monday, but right now I'm going home. This is really bad.
I think it potentially comes down to a little bit is people wanting to not be good. Obviously it's a bit of an ego hit, but also that potentially just like laziness of just being like, oh fuck, 8 to 10 years, like
that is like
a long time to get half good at something that I may not be great at.
We get a lot of people that quit at blue belt.
Okay.
They call it the blue belt blues. It's like you get to your first belt and then this thing happens where everybody quits. Because why I think it happens anyway is that if you're wearing a white belt, people are nice. People will be kind to you. Generally, like the majority of people will go, oh, beginner. Same as you see someone new in the gym. Oh, what's up? I help you with this.
Yeah.
You see some dude who's been training for ages and he's doing stupid stuff. You're just going to go like, whatever. Like,
yeah, just
stay away from me and do your thing, you know? So in that first couple of years, and especially when you get towards the end of the blue belt, towards the end of the white belt, maybe you tapped a blue belt. Maybe you even gave a purple belt a hard time or something, you know? And you were like, all right, like it's coming, it's happening. And then the moment you get a blue belt, people don't treat you like you're a beginner anymore. They don't. Like the way I stood in front of you, like that stops. They launch at you because now it's competitive. Like it's not like they're being mean, but they're just, if we both know the same amount of stuff, I can't give you time to do whatever you want to do. Like I've got to engage straight away. And so you almost start losing way worse when you're at blue belt because people see the training wheels are off and they just treat you like a normal interaction, you know? So all of a sudden, all the higher belts have stopped letting you get to the points that you were getting to, which you thought that you were just really good. Turns out they were just being kind. Like if you do something to a way higher belt than you, it's most likely because they were trying out something new or they were fiddling with something or, you know, whatever. So all the higher belts, training wheels are off, and all the lower belts go, if I can tap him, I can get a blue belt, which is not how it works. But you think in your head, oh, then I'll be on the level, you know? So everyone underneath you is just gunning for you. Everyone on top of you has stopped treating you like a kid, and then you're just getting fisted from both ends. It's just I remember like the first year of blue belt, just coming home being like, oh my God, like everyone is fucking feeding me non-stop. Like it was just, and a lot of people can't take it. They're just like, fuck this. I'm not doing this for another 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, whatever. Like I was pretty decent at CrossFit. Yeah. I was pretty good at triathlon. I am fucking terrible at this. I'm, you know, and like the way where a lot of your physical stuff doesn't transfer quite as well. Like your athleticism get you to a point, but like you're gonna have to study this thing to get good at it. Like whereas I feel like for a lot of like just classes, and you can just keep showing up to yoga and you'll kind of get better at it, and keep showing up to the box and you'll get kind of better at it and that kind of thing. But if you don't like put in a whole heap of mat time, if you just show up to Jiu Jitsu like once a week, you won't progress very far. Like it'll get to a point where you have to put a ton of time into it. And I think when people realize that can be, and you know, people have families and lives, and like Jiu-Jitsu is not like the only important thing in life. So it's not even like a dishonorable thing to go, I just don't have the time for this. But I think that's where a lot of people kind of hit the quits. Like I don't want to do this. Yeah. So
what do you think it is about, I guess, you and then the other people that are in belts higher than you and getting to the black belt? What's that difference between you taking that blue belt and not getting the blue belt blues and going, I want to do more than this?
I got it.
Okay.
I'm obsessive. So like I get very hyper focused on things, like to a detriment probably. Like it's in my personality as well. But then also like I've never not finished a race. I've suffered through races. Like I've had races where I was literally shuffling to cross the finish line, but I've never dropped out. The first marathon that I run, like I did it after work one day because someone said like, can you run a marathon? And I was like, probably. And they were like, hey, oh, you haven't done it? And I was like, nah, I'll do it, but. And then I started running, you know, I'm like, cool, 10K, yeah, sweet. 20K, I was running half marathons all the time. I was like, cool. Got to 30K, I'm like, I'm gonna shit this in, cool. And then 30, just everything hit like slow-mo, and I was like, oh, fuck, what is going on? And this is like that last 10K was just, you know, you see people in those races, like,
Yeah.
but like, there's still not my head doesn't have a thing that goes like, we could just stop.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, like that's, I think is it Goggins who says like, like that looks really painful, you're gonna stop. Like, why would pain be a reason to stop?
Yeah.
Like that's not a reason to stop. Like
It's
that's, and my dad's, he's like that. Like he's very like, because he was into triathlon and I got into it, and it was always like the DNF. It was like death before DNF, which is did not finish. When you look up the big leaderboards and you see all the times and you see DNF,
right.
that was like that's the only thing that, it doesn't matter if your time was 2 hours longer than what you'd hoped for. It doesn't, like, if everyone's packing up the race and you're still making your way, it doesn't matter. Like that all of it's honorable. But to not finish something that you like embarked on, like that's, yeah, like since I was like 3, that was like a rule in our house. Is like, you just, if you start, you finish. If we buy you soccer boots, you're gonna play the whole season.
Yeah.
I don't care if you hate soccer, like we bought the boots, you're gonna finish. Like, and that's just whatever it was. And if we got to the end of the season, you still didn't really like it, cool, don't keep playing. But if we like set out on a thing, like that's gonna happen. That's so I think, that kind of kicked in with Jiu Jitsu. It's just Jiu Jitsu is a lot longer and harder than anything else I've kind of embarked on before. Yeah.
That's cool. I was gonna ask you where do you think that came from, but obviously from dad. So you obviously having a little girl, do you treat her sort of the same way too, or because she's your own, is it a bit, I want to say more heartfelt of like,
my daughter is heaps like me and then nothing like me.
Okay.
So she doesn't, if it's hard, it doesn't make it exciting for her. It makes her not want to do it. So like, there's a bit of me that thinks I understand that I am too much. So I wouldn't want her to be as like single-tracked obsessive with things as I am, because I feel like it's made other things difficult. Like it can make relationships and friendships and time management and all that stuff can get pretty difficult when you're just like locked in the zone on this one thing for like years at a time, you know? And it allows you to do and achieve things, you know, like I was in a band for a long time, and our band played a lot more shows than a band who was as not good as we were should have played, because I was so obsessive. I just kept pushing. Hey, can we play the show? Hey, can we come to your country? Hey, can we come and do this thing? Can we get on this tour? And because I just kept pushing, we kept getting stuff and doing stuff, and because I never let off the gas pedal, the band just kept doing stuff it had no business doing, you know? Like we just kept playing all these shows, but relationships suffered and people suffered, and I never realized that like the dudes in my band were hurting a little bit. They wanted time off. They didn't want to be on the gas pedal all the time. They didn't want to, so I didn't notice, and that hurt friendships that I had, you know? Or like if people go, hey, do you want to train? I'll go, yep. Do you want to train? Yep. Oh, an extra night? Yeah, I'll train. Yeah. Well, come down to our gym down in Sydney. Yeah, I'll be there. Cool. And then Alicia, like my fiance, would be like, hey, like you haven't been home any night this week.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck. Yeah. Like I didn't even notice. Like I'm so sorry. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? So like the older I get, the more that I've had to like trust people around me to let me know like, hey, you're doing the thing.
Yeah.
You're doing the thing that destroys all the other things. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'll jump back in. So like, I wouldn't want my daughter to get to that, but I very, very much want her to, I'd like her to be able to maybe finish things that she starts that are, to be able to realize what's important. Because I'll finish anything that I start. Yeah. Even if it's not important. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like I hope that she can realize that sometimes things are going to be uncomfortable. Things are going to be, it's not going to be because it's fun, but it's going to be because you know, like that same attitude also allowed me to have savings and to like buy property and to still, even when I left like my old job, which was quite well paying to get into the fitness industry, which is like not well paid, to still manage those funds well and hang on to that. And I've never like lost a bunch of cash or blown it out or done it because, you know, that aspect of my brain is able to handle things and work with stuff well and keep things where they're supposed to be and in order and all that kind of stuff. But I would like for her to be somewhere in between, I think, would be my goal.
Yeah.
And she's trying to be the very opposite side of the spectrum so far. So it's like a lot of like no, like you can't just sign up for gymnastics and then stop going.
Yeah.
Like that's not, we paid for a term.
Yeah.
You know, so you're gonna do the term or whatever it is. Like if it's she's into gymnastics and jiu-jitsu, like jiu-jitsu is probably the only thing that I make her do because she's a girl and the world's fucked. So that's a horrible way to have to think, but like I don't want her to ever be in a situation where someone could do something to her that she doesn't want to happen to her.
Yeah.
So I want that ingrained in her. She's trained since she was 3, and I want it to be, once she's an adult, she doesn't have to train no more.
Yeah.
But that's something that like, that to me is just the same as school or learning math or whatever. You need to learn that if someone gets into your space and you don't want them in your space, you know how to get out or remove them from your space.
Yeah.
That's like, and I think that if every human being understood that, the world would be a lot more peaceful, to be honest, because I think that so much of what happens is because we don't know who the big dog is, you know? So much of the animosity, so much of the things that happen, so much of the fights in the pubs. So you look at me, yeah, I'm looking at you, you look at, we're gonna do this thing? Who's the man? Am I the man or you the man? Let's figure out who the man is.
Yeah.
Like, whereas when everybody knows how to fight, you understand that that guy could be the man.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of people who tan me up, you know? So like, that means if I have a whole crew of guys just down the road who I can invite over and they can beat the piss out of me, that means that statistically anywhere that I am, anytime, I'm not the big dog, and that's okay, you know? So I think, for her, I would like her to be able to see things through. I would like her to develop discipline, but I would also like her to be able to let things go more than I can, because that's like definitely a flaw in my personality. I can't drop shit. I can't stop. I can't switch my brain off. I get into bed and I'm just like running through jiu-jitsu positions or training things for clients, or I'm like I'll be lying next to Alicia and she's like almost like, babe. Do you reckon this will work?
You're like, let me just get you in this hole.
If I grabbed your arm, do you know what I'm saying? If I got this and then I went to here, she's like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I think it would work. I think it'll work. I'm gonna fuck Coach up tomorrow. Check it out. She'll come, but yeah. So if she's somewhere between, that'd be ideal for me.
There's this. I want to call it an effect, and I feel like I made this up. And if I didn't, someone let me know. But and I want to coin it something cool. But basically, it's what you said there. It's just like there's a sort of like a yin and yang effect to every trait of like being OCD of like I have to finish thing. It's great in a lot of aspects, but you've got to understand that greatness is going to apply to everything. Yeah. And there's also going to be some detriments with that. Like I find myself kind of funny, but I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, good, laugh. Like, yeah, we're having a great time, but I can't switch it off. So when it's late at night and my girlfriend's trying to go to bed, I'm just like fucking around with her. Can you just piss off? Like, I'll just try wrestle her and stuff because I think it's funny.
Which is a weird thing, right? Because I find like people that she definitely found that super attractive when she met you. This guy's so much fun. Yeah. And then he never stops being fun. Like it, you know, which I'm sure for Alicia, she was, when she met me, like, damn, this guy's disciplined. He got shit together, fucking hell. He's not like these other dudes who are just fucking around. He's like, whoo. Yeah. And then like, you know, a few years in, she's like, oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad.
So it's their fault.
It's
their fault.
Well, I don't know. It's, you know, for me, it's like, oh, she's so caring.
Yeah.
Because I'm not. Yeah. I'm like linear. I'm like everything's analytical. Everything's like it's logical. It's rational. It's got to like make sense. Okay. Like if you're upset and the reason why you're upset makes sense to me, I will shift the earth to try to make you feel better. Yeah. Because you were wronged. It was injustice. There was. But if you're upset and it doesn't make any rational sense, I am a robot. Like I'm just like, why are you upset? Yeah. And she'll often say, you know, like I can be upset and it cannot make sense and it's still valid. Like that, and I'm like, there's a bar. So there's a, you know, like for me, it's so like, wow, this person's got so much compassion, and I've got like, it's something that I struggle with is empathy and compassion and stuff. Like, what should I say? Like, hers is just untapped. It's just like, if you're upset, she cares. She works in social services. She's amazing at her job. She's like, if you're upset, I care about it.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I'm like, why are you upset? Why? Like, you put yourself in this mess and now you're upset about it. It's like, oh, so yeah. I don't care. I don't like, and I don't even feel anything. It's not like I make a conscious decision to not feel something. It's just like, there's nothing in there. So like, I think that, for all of us, that stuff is like all the stuff that you found very attractive, it slowly turns into like...
Yeah, the chaos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like... But I guess that's something that we need to work on, and we're probably aware of that, but because it's so innate and so natural to us, we just don't.
Yeah.
We're just like, nah, I'm good.
I think the thing that like is important is that like, if your spouse wasn't different to you, you wouldn't be interested, right? Yeah. So you might be sitting there thinking, man, it'd be cool if there was this girl that always wanted to have fun at night and wrestle and fuck around and stuff. But like 2 of you, nah. 2 of me,
hell nah.
Like it's not, no man, like that won't. So like I think in those moments where you're like, I'm gonna kill this person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill them. And it will be justified. People will understand why I did this. But then you if you can remember that, like if we weren't, I don't know how much time we have, but I was in India, right? And I was like, I really wanted to ask the guy who was our tour guide about arranged marriages. I was like, I want to hear about this shit, what's it go with that? And he was like, and then on this one long bus trip that we were on, he starts to talk to us about it. It's like, yeah, I'm in arranged marriage and stuff. And he was like, I think it's weird that you guys choose, like just on love or lust. It doesn't make any sense. Like, no one's really given any thought to that. You just jump into stuff. And I was like, I've been divorced before. I was like, fuck, this cunt's... Whoa, bro. Hang on. I was going to grill you about this. Yeah. And one of the things that he said was like, when they do the testing and they go to the person and they arrange the marriage, they look through all the stuff, like they look at you, and if you both have all the same traits, they know it won't work. And if you have all the opposite traits, they know it won't work. But if you have like a bunch that are similar, but then enough that are different, he's like, that's when that'll work. Like, and that's how the person who like decides, because it might be like you got a son, I got a daughter, and then we go to the dude who like does all puts the, I don't know, whatever, it's got a name, whatever, how they figure all this stuff out, and all these questionnaires and testings and things, and they look at it and they go, yeah, these 2 will work, this will be a good marriage, and then they figure it out. But then, that was he said, if you're exactly the same, boring. If you're exactly different, too much fighting. It needs to be a little bit, and then enough of this push, pull kind of...
Isn't that interesting? It's like this, almost like not even a scientific, it's like a mathematical element to it. And obviously, it would be difficult because when then you add emotion to it, and then shit is really hard to figure out. But it's interesting because I know that arranged marriages have a much lower divorce rate. Now, I don't know if it's illegal to divorce.
Yeah, that could be a thing though, right?
But then it's illegal, isn't it illegal in a Catholic sense as well? I don't really know religion that much.
I think people pick and choose a bit.
Yeah,
but I think in some countries, obviously, there's a higher stigma against the... So I don't know, but I thought it was interesting, at least, the way that they choose. And I thought it was interesting that for him, he was like, what a weird way that you guys choose who you're going to be with. Because because your pants moved a bit? Really?
Because you banged one time and it was cool?
That seems like a terrible reason to get together for a long time, but we do that. And I was like, that is weird. And I do think my girlfriend's hot though. So I don't know.
I wanted to come back to Jiu Jitsu and performance as a vegan.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
You weren't always a vegan though, right?
13 years.
13 years. So
and I'm 31, so like I'm getting close to like half my life.
Yeah. Did you I'd assume you did triathlons and things.
All the sport that I have done has been post stopping eating meat. So like I was 18, I was probably 17 when I stopped eating meat, and it was like I was into punk rock and political stuff and all that kind of thing, and people I was hanging out with were like not eating meat, and just the same kind of shit that everyone gets into, and then from there, then I stopped eating meat, and then I moved out of home and I got kind of chubby in my first couple of years as an apprentice, because smoko and eating pies and,
life.
and all that kind of stuff.
Life.
And as a vegetarian or vegan, especially now, not so much back then, but you can eat like shit right now as a vegan. You can get everything. You can go to Servo and get a pie that's vegan right now at the Caltex just around the corner. It's fucking hectic. Like, that's crazy. So like, you can eat all this bad food. I got up to about, I just remember I had to buy a pair of 36-inch pants, and I'm a 30-inch pant right now. And when I bought those 36-inch, they were Dickies knee slappers, still young, but I was like, I don't know about this. That's a big pair of pants, man. And then, so I was like, all right, like, I'm not going to start eating animals because, like, ethically, like, morally, like, I feel convicted about this. Like, so for me, I was like, well, that's not an option. So I just started Googling like vegan athletes. And I found like Rich Roll. I don't know if you've seen him before, but he's like an ultra endurance guy. He's been on Rogan a couple times and stuff. And then like, and a couple of other like cyclist endurance dudes. And watching some of the old docos and stuff like that were popular back then. And they were like, then I was able to see that there's people who are performing like high level, and this is like way before, this is like a decade before Game Changers and stuff. So I just started mimicking what they were eating. I just started to eat like, okay, they're eating plant-based, they're eating predominantly whole foods, they're eating like a pretty, their plate is kind of roughly, 70-80% like whole, fresh, like carbohydrate sources. Then they're eating roughly their body weight in protein. So like, grams per like at least 1 gram per kilo-ish. They're not eating too much fat, and these guys are fast. Like they're endurance kind of machines, So, and then when I started eating that way, I started to drop the weight, I started to feel good, and then I'm like, fuck, well, I'll go for a ride. And then I just went, I'll go for a run, and I was able to keep running. So I was like, oh, this feels good. I'll just keep doing it. And then triathlon. So eventually came out of that because my body felt good. And then I was kind of into cycling, and being heavy and cycling is just annoying. Like, that's heaps of extra weight you got to carry up the hill. So, all of it started coming off. And then when I transitioned to Jiu Jitsu, I had to change a little bit. I needed to put some mass on. So I was eating a little bit more fat and protein, probably switched it a little bit. And then that helped me get the weight up. Because being skinny is great for endurance sports, but it sucks for Jiu Jitsu. Like, you're just gonna get pumped, Like, so getting up to above 80 kilos was like a big goal for me. And now I kind of sit at about 83. I think it was 82 and a half this morning or something like that. And then, but I've had like zero, like all of the questions that people ask, like I went and had all my bloods done when I was 30. And I was like, that was last year, I had all my bloods done, everything came back like perfect. Like, and I was even like, I was a bit funny. I was like, I was kind of hoping you'd say my test was low, so I could like get on the jabs. I was like, bro,
look, I'm 30.
Oh, I'm getting old, man. Like, I was like, come on, bro. And then he gave me it back, and he's like, but the little thing in the back of my head was going, you won't be low, bro. You'll be high.
Yeah,
it's gonna be high.
Yeah,
and it just came back. Oh, just normal. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
It was neither
it's
of
the
things
worst possible.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not
result.
normal, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a freak. I'm a machine. Like, so yeah, he was just like, yeah, you're just normal. Everything about you is normal.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not a specimen.
Well, that's the sign.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
This is neither of the things I wanted. I wanted you to give me a script so I could become like Uber John. I need you to give me all the testosterone, or I want you to just tell me that it will boost my ego, that I am a freak of nature, and just everything was just normal. So, and that was after like, 11, 12 years of just eating plants. So I still keep on keeping on. The only thing I focus on, if I gotta get bigger, is my calories. Whatever my goal weight is. Now I'll try to eat like 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilos of protein for whatever the weight I need to be is. Yeah. And then the rest of it, I just fill it in with preferably as much whole food as I can. If I'm trying to gain weight, I'll use more processed foods, like all the vegan, like the mock meats and all that kind of stuff. They will get your weight up quick. Okay. So if you want to go up in weight, like more processed foods, I find, and if you look at people with African genetics around the world, like when they start eating a bunch of processed foods, they balloon like really fast.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then if I want to get smaller, I just pull that stuff out and I focus on more the whole foods and the calorie intake, and then it brings me back down like pretty quick. So yeah, I haven't had any adverse anything. Like jiu-jitsu is tough on your body, you know, but like I heal in the normal time. Something pops, 6 weeks later, it doesn't hurt anymore. Something, whatever.
It's gonna take 6 weeks. My fucking elbows come back.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything. But if you hear a pop like that, you're gonna feel it for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Not it's gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt always, all the time.
It's gonna know it's there.
But for 6 weeks, you're gonna remember that we did this.
All right. Okay.
And that's an interesting thing with injuries. People think like some shit pops, and then the next week, like I'm done, man. I can't train anymore. I can't whatever. I go, how long has it been? One of my mates is so funny. He's like, I don't know, it happened like last Tuesday night. Like, so it's been a week.
Yeah.
But something popped.
Yeah.
And injuries take how long? 4 to 6 weeks to hit. Okay, so where are we at on the timeline of healing? And have you done anything to promote healing? Oh, I've just trained him since. You're like, okay. So for you, maybe 8 to 12 weeks it's going to take that to heal if you keep training super hard on it. It's like, you all right, bro? No, fuck you, bro. And then that's the end of the conversation. So yeah, don't... people get a little bit stressed about that, but I heal like a normal amount of time. I've got like good cardio. I can gain and cut weight pretty easily. I haven't been given any reason why I should introduce animal products back into my diet yet.
Yeah. Is it big in jiu-jitsu? Like vegan, vegetarianism? Not really.
Not any bigger than anywhere else.
Yeah.
There's a few guys, like there's a couple of UFC guys, there's a couple of whatever, but it's not bigger than anywhere else. Like and it is kind of trendy now, and like I think that's cool. Like if something becoming trendy means that like a few less animals get eaten, a little bit less pollution, you know, little few more fish in the sea, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if it's because it's health, like because you think you're doing it because you're cool, or if because you're really about the cause, man. I don't care. Like
because the underlying factor is
this
is still the byproduct.
Yeah, I love it. I love Meat-Free Monday. I love it.
Yeah.
I got one friend who his whole thing is like he was into like I think Richard Branson came out with like the reduce-atarian, like let's just reduce our consumption, reduce the load on the earth a little bit. So his thing is like if there's a veggie option on any menu that he picks up when he's out and about, he goes, yeah, I'll have that. That's his thing. That's his way of just reducing. And I'm like, that's sick, bro. Like, that's awesome. I think that, like, one of the big things where people go wrong with vegan is they go, all or nothing. And it's like, oh, don't do that. Like, you don't even know what you're doing. Like, I've been doing this for 13 years, you know? Every now and then I get caught. Fuck, milk solids. What the fuck's this? Why is there milk solids in this? Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, or you okay, cool. So next I finish the food that I purchased from the grocery store, and the next time I don't buy it again. Like that shit happened like this month, and it's been 13 going on 14 years for me. So like I think that a lot of people will go, I got to be all in, or I can't do that at all. And it's like, wow, like we've seen huge impacts in like animal agriculture industry and all that kind of stuff because of Meat-Free Mondays. Heaps of people are getting around it. That's awesome. Like that's like. If you're a vegan, don't shit on people because they're not 100% hardline. Like if you do that, fuck you. Like I that's my biggest hate kind of thing. And like, and I was that way when I was like 19, newly vegan. I was like, fucking bolt cutters every cage free. You know, like this is, and then you get older and you realize like you catch way more flies with honey, man. Like that just be kind to people, understand that like maybe not everyone's where you're at on shit. Like, and if anyone's making any kind of effort, help them, love them up. That's awesome. Like, you want to come over? I'm gonna cook a sick veggie meal. Come to my house. I'm gonna eat. It's gonna be cool. When I worked a more higher paying job, I used to always say to my friends, like, if you get the veg option, I'll pay. Yeah. Do you want it or not? And they're like, cool. Because I was earning over 100K and we were like 20. So I'd just be like, there's a veggie option, and if you want it, I'll pay for it. And they're like, fuck, all right, free food, cool. Boom, there you go, pay it up. I got nothing else to spend money on anyway, so let's go. And that was my kind of way of that. And then and some of those friends now are like, oh yeah, veggie stuff's all right. They don't look at veggie as like the shitty section of the menu. You know, they're like, oh, there's some good, they eat some good shit too. So that's cool. But yeah, I haven't had any negative performance, but you know what, like I don't even know, man. Maybe I could have started eating meat tomorrow and then I'm a world champion next week. I don't know, but like my bloods are normal and I feel good and I'm able to keep the same training load as people. I'm able to train more than people in the same kind of lifestyle. Like people who are dad, job, 30s, all that kind of thing, I can keep a higher training load than the majority of them. And I think, I don't know if that's veganism or if that's just Africa. Like I honestly think like if you got some Africa in you,
you got some cool genetics.
You can take
there,
mileage.
Yeah.
Like we can take mileage a lot better than some of them white boys. But, but
there's a combination. Probably
I think it's a
bunch.
I think it's that I'm careful with what I eat. I think it's that like my lifestyle is pretty stress free. You know, like I get paid less, but like my girl's great, my kid's cool, my teammates are fucking awesome. Like everybody at Mingara is lovely to us. Like we get treated really nicely where we work and stuff. So like I don't have that much stress in my life. I think that's probably got to be helping reduce inflammation and get to sleep easy at night and all that kind of thing. I think being conscious about what you eat is super important too. But I think it's probably a combination of everything. But I definitely like. Yeah, I definitely think it's a mix. I think it's a genetics, and I think it's because I've seen some people like stop eating meat and it didn't really go that well.
Yeah,
I went, you know.
Yeah, I think what you said there's right is so many people want this black and white. Be like, no, there's greens and blues and oranges in this thing. Like even with related to you, like there's genetics, there's stress-free lifestyle, there's happiness in your lifestyle, there's obviously the nutrients that you consume as well. There's so many different aspects. It's like when people come to us and like, hey, I want to prep for a comp or for a photo shoot, and they come to me, I'm like, cool, here's what we need to take into account. I'm like, what do you mean we need to talk about digestion and stress management and stuff? What? Eat less and train more. I'm just like, no, dude. I was like, there's so much to this.
That's not how that's going to go.
Exactly right. You know what I mean? Like health needs to be the fundamental pillar to all of this. And speaking of health, we spoke about this a lot, and I think it's a really cool topic to finish on and get people thinking. But we spoke about the use of PEDs in sport.
Bro, it peds me off.
where we believe that it would be interesting to see where we can take genetic potential. You know?
I've given myself till 35.
Oh, really?
35's my number, and then
And it's not a case, just for a preface for everyone. Me and John have this conversation often, and it's not to promote steroid and anabolic steroids use, but it's just the question of where can we take human potential done under the right circumstances, the right conditions of having doctors be there, testing your blood work frequently, and having basically almost like a league in every sport of going, this is the performance enhancing league.
Every sport needs to have just open, and then you have like the natty over there struggling to get sponsorship doing it. No one wants to watch it, go over there, do things. Yeah. Like, I wish so badly, because like, when I was 16, I had a friend who was cycling at a national level, and like Lance was my guy. My dad was into cycling, but Lance was the sickest. Like I'm watching the tour with my dad, he's in that ad, remember the one, what am I on? I'm on my bike, I'm training, I'm like, yeah, Lance, you're the man, and my mate, I might have even been younger, I might have even been 14, 15, and my mate was like 16, and at that time, he was 16 years old, and coming back from cycling at nationals and stuff, and he's like, bro, everybody's juiced. Yeah. And I was like, nah, bro, not Lance. And he was like, dude, every single athlete that that is on TV with a sponsorship that is at the top of anything is on PEDs. And I was like, nah, bro. And then, what was it, 2-3 years later, Lance is sitting on Oprah's couch, and you're like, oh, well, oh, go. And my friend, he's still, that's life, man. And I'm not even mad about it, because like if I can't teach yoga, I guess pre-COVID, because my nose is all stuffed up, I have the Sudafed. I gotta do my job. Like I need a decongestant, put something in me so I can do this thing that gets me paid, Like that's life, that's where everyone's at, and no one wants to watch sport where the 100-meter race is like, everybody finishes 10 seconds on the dot, sick, well done, 8th, first place. No, you want to see Usain Bolt fucking, and you want to watch the most exciting cycling ever was the days where who was it? Was it Floyd Landis? Or there was that one Tour de France where he was struggling. They didn't think he was going to make the time cutoff. And it was just like, they're going to, he's not going to finish. And then he just makes it over. Then the next day, it's like he had a motor in his bike and he's row. And he's flying off the front, and it's like, yeah. like it's so exciting. It was because the little dude on the scooter rocked up with the bag full of blood. It was full of oxygen and all the everything they had Floyd in there like charging up. And then the next day and it was the most exciting shit anyone's ever seen. Like fucking hardly anyone watches cycling anymore. They were watching when those dudes were doing that shit because it was exciting. And like I'm just in no way against it. I'm against it if not everyone's allowed, right? Like that's tough. Like if you're from USA, Russia, China, right? You're gonna have this huge advantage over like homeboy from Zambia or whatever, like who doesn't have access to the same stuff, I guess. So like from that perspective, it's not fair. But also like if you want to get into weightlifting and you're from Zambia or you want to get into weightlifting and you're in like Russia, China, USA, like it ain't fair. Like it just isn't. So I wish that you could just go to your doctor and chat and you could just do stuff safely, because all the things that people are so terrified of are not anywhere near as bad for you as drinking 2 beers a night or doing whatever it else that you're doing. And if you're like, jiu-jitsu's fucking hard and it's rough, and I wish that I could help me if I could recover faster, if I could, if 6 weeks after a pop only had to be 3 or 4 and I knew what to safely do, I would do it.
The thing is, what's interesting, I think, is people are doing it anyway. Like, people are fucking doing it anyway. And we know a lot of these people that are doing it anyway, and quite often it's relatively clear of like, well, you're juicing more than this guy, and again, from the sort of big 3, let's go. Like, well, you got more funding, so you can take more drugs.
You're gonna do that, that's.
And not everybody's on it, but it'd just be really, really interesting, and we'd love to know what you guys think. So make sure you comment below if you're on the podcast. Make sure you throw us a DM over on the Instagrams or on YouTube, and let us know your thoughts on what you think that could potentially do to human potential. Or is it going to be a massive detriment because people might get a little bit too excited and start, like, they're going to try and cheat
but the thing is, like,
anyway.
Like they Dr. Ferrari with the US Postal Team, right? Every time they would do a hill sprint in training, he would be there, he would prick their blood levels, he would figure out everything to make sure it was perfect, So like US Postal didn't have, like, they didn't overdose and they weren't doing all this stuff. They weren't like the things that we see with like young gym rats who are like, oh, I heard so-and-so takes for this and so-and-so takes this, and I'll get a hold of all that on the internet and just start pinning all of it. Like it was perfect. Like it was they knew exactly what they were doing. They had everything. There was like I guess, safe environment to do that in when you've got a doctor in there handling everything. And I think that, like, if the whole world can shut down and bottle-os and alcohol is still essential, I don't understand how having your testosterone at optimum levels or having whatever it is, if it's SARMs, peptides, whatever that's going to help to keep your body strong and healthy and keep you doing stuff, as long as everyone has the same access to stuff, I don't see a problem with it, and I see it way better than
the 16-year-old going into the changing rooms, buying whatever because this random dude said it and just jabbing up like hell.
It's terrible, right? Because we put drugs in we put all drugs into this one basket of bad. Like I used to think that too, right? All drugs are bad. Then someone gave me like some cannabis, and I was like, that's not bad. I thought all drugs were bad. That was kind of nice. Like and then did it a few times in a row. And if you do that all the time, it kind of wears off. And if you do that all the time, you're not that. Oh, okay, cool. It's a sometimes thing. All right, cool. Yeah. Let's move on. Like, that's it. Like, that's all that you needed to tell kids or parents or anything, is that, like, you can have some cannabis with your girl, and you can get some snacks and watch a fun movie, and it'll be extra funny, and then that's cool. And if you do that all the time, like, you might not get that much shit done, and it will have much less of an effect on you, and you're not gonna have a good time, right? And like, through every drug that you go through, whether it's for sport or it's for fun or it's for whatever, like there's some things that'll make you think, expand your mind, Like you can go eat some mushrooms and sit in the bush and go, whoa,
Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, some of the greatest minds of our time.
You can sit there and go like, that was
LSD.
probably one of the more humbling experiences of my life, was to sit there and go like, you were just a thing on a rock hurtling through infinite space. Like, why the fuck do you think you're important? And you're there going, whoa, you know. And then you come back and you're like, I am not that fucking important. You know, you can go through the door first, man, because I'm not any more important than you. So like, I'm not. Can you go in front of me in line? No dramas, bro. I don't care. You're using that machine at the gym, I'll fucking go use that one. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm just a dot. Like, it doesn't, you know, and you get these big perspective shifts. Like, why isn't that encouraged? Why is that not a, in previous societies we had like the medicine man, and you're turning 18, you're gonna go on a spiritual journey. You're gonna go for a walk, or, you know, whatever. Or you know what I mean, or whatever it is. And there are things that, you know, you hang out with people doing cocaine a bit too much, and eventually it's like, fuck, this is getting weird. I want to get out of here. I don't like this. I don't like being around these people. I don't like what this does to people. Alcohol's on that list for me of things where like, too much of this and I'm gonna bounce. Like, I'm getting out of here. I don't really enjoy when this is going on, you know. And I think that like when we think that everything's bad, you know, there's some like, we know that like. Is it Debo? Is that the one that people get? Yeah, is that the one that people get a lot of? Is that the Debo or Trend? I know there's one of them that people get a lot of like way more negative side effects than they do on, say, like some of the other stuff that you could
Trend's
take.
like toxic to the brain. It's a neurochemical.
That's the one.
That's like the one. The results are probably going to be amazing, but you're going to break down very quickly.
So if we were just like, hey, like this one. Man, not so good, right? For these reasons, but you could do this. Yeah. And this will get you like most of those results.
Because you can do it anyway.
But you know, same thing like with anything, it's so bizarre. Like something that I would never want to tell my daughter is that like everything's bad, or this is all good, or this is, you know, like alcohol's not good because it's legal. Right? Any more than cannabis or PEDs or whatever the fuck else is bad because it's illegal. Like it's just, everything's just stuff, you know, and it's kind of like I would prefer if we looked at the results of those things before we made a judgment on what that thing is, you know. Same with people, I guess. You can see someone who's like, oh yeah, he's a good guy and stuff. Look at his results. He's fucked. He's shit to his family. He doesn't fucking look after no one. He doesn't doesn't wipe his shit down at the gym after he uses it. He's you know, like, oh, he's nice when you chat to him, but like, nah, he's a fucking piece of shit. Like that's what, look at his results. And I think that with everything is like, I know you and I know what people, after I see you leave a group of people and I walk into that room at the gym, everyone's happy. Right?
Oh, thank God.
Everyone's having
everyone,
like if you're walking out to a client, I've just finished one and I'm walking in, everyone's in the staff room there, everyone's usually giggling, everyone's having a good time, everyone's whatever. So like, what are the results of Abby is that people feel good when they hang out with Abby. You know what I mean? Or like me with my obsessive brain, or I'll like download just a fucking textbook worth of information into someone and I walk out the room and they're spinning, they're like, fucking, you can, flexibility works like that, Jiu Jitsu and this, like it's all going on. Like it's what are the results of this thing, and like what are the results of alcohol or cannabis, what are the results of PEDs, what are the results of Jiu Jitsu, or what are the like if we can just look at what is the outcome of that thing and then judge it by that, like there's so many things that would be like, alcohol would have to be like they were scared to shut it down because all them cunts, they thought if they went into withdrawals, they're all going to end up in hospital. So they didn't close bottle those, they kept them essential. That's fucked.
Yeah.
Why are you telling me that's cool, but I'll get in trouble if I smoke weed, man? What? Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. Like that's fucking cooked. So I don't understand. And I think that like, if we were, the same thing happens, you tell kids weed's bad, they try it once, it's fun, so then they smoke it every day. Like, don't do that. Yeah. That's bad. You tell kids that peds are bad, but then that cunt over there in the gym is jacked, and then you're like, whoa, what the fuck, what's he doing? And then you talk to him, you have a little chat, he's, oh, I'm doing a bit of this, bit of that, bit of whatever. Like, and then all of a sudden he's gonna, at 16, do the same cycle that this fucking veteran's been doing since forever, and then now he's having all these dramas and problems and stuff. It's like, that's all happening because there's a lack of education, because there's stigmas attached to things. So I think that if we were just a bit more, just to be honest and real about what's going on, is the dude who's taking a little bit of test and a little bit of whatever and going and doing his CrossFit workout and handling his business and going to work, and that helps him recover faster, and he can keep up with some of the young bucks and have some fun and still have a good time with his wife and whatever else, then like,
Yeah.
Power on, bro. Have
And
fun.
I think you sort of said it is that lack of education, and I think it comes down to potentially people not wanting to search for the knowledge of like, well, I don't need to know about this because I asked him or her, and she told me to do this, so that's probably what's right. So no,
Yeah.
question it, ask why, and if you don't believe that particular person, going back to actually what we were speaking about, if there was a league. The drug league.
Yeah.
We can potentially start it here. A drug league, and it was done by by a medical professional. That everything's checked out and everything, the subjective and objective metrics are all tested and everyone's completely healthy. If we had this knowledge and education, then potentially the downsides would not be quite as down.
But I mean, devil's advocate, you could say, where does that end?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, people are doing it anyway, right?
But
Like, people are going to do
people
things
do
anyway.
stuff
So it's like,
anyway.
well, if we educated them, they could make a more conscious, educated decision. Like, oh, do I really want to do this? Because I know that this is going to lead to X, Y, and Z. Like, that's the science.
The
But
other
if
thing that's a bummer is that when things are illegal, there's no research on those things, right? Like in America, they call it like Schedule 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we call it out here. But when something makes it onto that list, it's very hard for it to get grants, for it to get approvals, for it to get, like now they're looking at like MDMA and psilocybin for PTSD and for trauma victims, and looking at like guided therapy sessions with different psychedelics. Like I know they do it with ketamine, or they do it with mushrooms, where you can sit with like a shrink, but then it's also chemically enhanced, and you can have this like session where they're able to kind of get into your mind and all that kind of stuff. Like there's all this stuff that's only coming out later, or like some of the anti-aging stuff in certain parts of the world that you can go to, or it's stem cells, or whether it's things to do with hormones, or it's so slow because it was illegal. Then it was like, okay, that means I got to do all this shit to get approved for this test and this thing, these grants, these whatever, to do the study, to do the research. So then I feel like we're like you can just now get CBD to help reduce inflammation that works for some people. They knew that like millennia ago that plant did that.
Because they've been smoking it for a long time.
They know what, that's not a fucking surprise to anyone. You know what I mean? But we're only here in 2021, and now I think you can get a prescription in Australia at some places now. It's like, why are we slowing down where we could, like, let's go. Like, let's be adults and understand that, like, there's sometimes things, and there's all the time things, and there's cool and there's safe and there's not safe. But like, I don't understand why we're pretending that there's a whole bunch of like naughties and they're not naughty. I don't get it. I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. I feel like I try to make sense of things a lot. It's what my brain's good at doing, and that one just makes no fucking sense.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. We could definitely advance humankind faster than we probably are right now. We're getting monitored and we could sort of mitigate a lot of the downsides by, being very strategic and purposeful about this, rather than going, we're just going to open up trend and make it legal. You're like, well, of course that's a fucking bad idea.
Not full smorgasbord of whatever's going on, but like if we can fix like Granny's knee over there with some stem cells, why the fuck are we pretending that doesn't work in all these countries? What are you doing? Why has she got to go to Panama to get her knee fixed? Let's do that down the street. Let's go. Like I have a friend who legitimately, he went to South America, like he was a ex-military dude. Like we meet a lot of police force, military, all that kind of thing through Jiu Jitsu, because they're into, when they get back, they still want to do some kind of contact, something, and the camaraderie and hanging out with everyone and stuff. So we meet a lot of those people on the mats, and to get the full gear, like all the stem cells, all the everything to help with some of his injuries from the military, you have to go to fucking South America to get it done. Like, what are we doing? What do we not have doctors too? Do we not have? Let's do it. Let's go. Like, but here it's not legal, and he has to go over there to get it done. So I was like, fuck it, that's crazy. But and it helped him heaps. So like,
insanity. I could keep talking to you forever. But lastly, as we're making a close, what are like 2 or 3 sort of the biggest tips that you could part your wisdom to people listening and watching?
Jiu-Jitsu related, or
Life
just whatever related?
Anything you've just rambled on.
Judge stuff by its results, not by your own idea or your parents' idea or your friend's idea of what's wrong or right. Like, just actually look at the results of it. What's the outcome of that thing? And then make your own decision. Like, talk to people who are smarter than you. They might know some outcomes too. If you're getting into jiu-jitsu, try not to get like too stressed about the fact that you suck. Like, just be okay with it. It's fun to suck. It's cool. Like, that's an excuse to like be not good at something, that's great. That's going to be heaps fun. And then I guess if you are the person who knows stuff, don't be a cunt. those are my 3 life tips.
And the last one is a great life tip. It's a great life tip. And, where can people check you out and follow your journey?
Just at John McAleer. I'm on there. If you want to do training, if you want me to help with like online stuff, if you want, like I do Jiu Jitsu coaching, I do flexibility training, I do yoga coaching, I do all of it. I prefer to do it in person, but if I can help online, I'll always do my best to like point you out to someone I know who's in your area or give you as much info as I can online. But Instagram's the best way to get in contact with me for anything that we have just spoke about related. Hit me up.
And all of those will be linked in the show notes below, so you guys can go check that John out. And just watching just watching John's program. We had Jen Case on the podcast, also Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, so I'm getting confused. Just watching John teaching and the way you educate people, and as we spoke about briefly, just the energy that you create with people. I would highly recommend reaching out. And if you are overseas, like we've got videos, like you can just send John videos of your progress, and
I can help.
Is there you go.
I know some stuff about some things.
Yeah.
That's my business card.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you've not already, hit like, subscribe, and make sure you leave us a review on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today, brother.
Thank you.
Very good. If you want to optimize your health, fitness, and lifestyle and learn the tools and the tricks and the knowledge to be able to sustain a healthy and fit lifestyle, then please go check out my books on my website. As a loyal subscriber, you get a cheeky little discount, so I'll see you in there.